Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle, and today I want to share with you how much I spent on my first year of homeschooling and kind of my homeschool budget. If you're new here, I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm currently homeschooling my 8 and 5-year-old, and this has been our first year of homeschooling. And if you're anything like me, you're curious what people actually end up spending on homeschooling. So obviously this number will be dependent on various factors: the age of your children, the type of curriculum you prefer to use, in some cases where you live. But also I think it's important that we talk about that budget is a big concern and one of the issues that you're talking about when you homeschool. So I'm going to be sharing my overall homeschool budget and also what I spent this year. So a little background: we are a one-income family. I'm a stay-at-home parent. My husband works outside the house. So that is a factor in what we decide for our curriculum. I think there's a lot of curriculum out there that's awesome, but it's just personally not in my price range. And that's okay. I think the most important thing for you to do as a homeschooler is do the best you can within your means. Don't feel guilty about not being able to afford that really pricey curriculum, but you have to also be honest with yourself. You're gonna spend some money. It's an investment in your child's education. It's gonna cost some money, no matter what you do. So I'm gonna actually turn you around here and show you my Excel spreadsheet, because that is how I budget in our house. I don't just homeschool budget, I have an overall household budget. So that's the easiest way I have found to do it and break it down, and then I can keep track of it year from year, and it's just easier when I do things like taxes and things like that. So I'm gonna flip you around and show you what I spent this year. Homeschool budget, as you can see here, this is for the 2021-2022 school year. Over here I have next school year, because obviously I've started to purchase some things there. And I have it divided into a couple different sections. So I have my 9-year-old's core work here in purple, my 5-year-old's core work here in pink, and the group work, the things we do together, in green. Again, same thing follows for next year. I also have it broken down from where I bought things. I do this for a couple of reasons. One, for tax purposes, I need to know where I got things, so if I have to look back for receipts, I can find it. And two, it helps me budget easier, because when I make a purchase, I add it to the budget in its category. That's why you'll see, obviously, some things follow after the other, because that's when I purchased it. So our first one for my 9-year-old's core work was Rainbow Resources. I bought her Lightning Lit Grade 3. This was the student workbook and the teacher's guide for it. I have a video reviewing Lightning Lit. I will link up above if you'd like to see it. Obviously this category is how much I spent, so the dollar amount. Wordly Wise, the 2nd grade set, and then you can see here I bought the 3rd grade set when we were done. Math Weights and Balance was Math Manipulatives, Multiplication Facts That Stick. From eBay I bought Michael Clay Thompson used, and it was the entire grammar level for $75. From Amazon, I got Handwriting Without Tears cursive, Addition Facts That Stick, Subtraction Facts That Stick. Again, that's for math. Writer's Toolbox was a book used for Torchlight, one of the spines, I believe. Lightning Lit books for grade 3. This was for the specific books. If I could not find them on thrift books, I just picked them up on Amazon, because I prefer to have those, all of the books that go with the Lightning Lit. I think there was about 7 or 8, just because we go through it over multiple weeks and it wouldn't have worked well with library scheduling for how long you can check books out. From Singapore Dimensions, I got 2A and 2B. That included the text, the student text, or the student textbook, the workbook, and the test all bundled together. That's the price for 2A, that's the price for 2B. On to my 5-year-old's core work from Rainbow Resources. We got Explode the Code, Mathematical Reasoning, Handwriting Without Tears, and then another writing book. And this was very early on, right after we finished her preschool work, slowly moving into kindergarten. I also got her Handwriting Without Tears for kindergarten, and Math Without Confidence was for kindergarten math. And again, I'll link that video up above if you want to see that. For our group work, we had Song School Spanish, which we did pretty much last summer and then into the beginning of the school year. Break Open Geodes went with our focus on geology, which we did again this summer. So all those things go with it, the lab, the textbook, and the teacher manual. From Amazon, Here Are Your Feelings cards is just a social emotional card game. And then we have some more games here. Sum Swap, math game, Sleeping Queens logic game, logic land game. These are the Torchlight spines. If I cannot find them used, I bought them off Amazon. So again, we have Child for Time, Medieval Projects, Two Truths, When on Earth, and City Through Time. Now, one thing I would go back and do, if I had to do it again, is I would not have purchased the spines before going through the curriculum. I have found that especially this one, Child for Time, When on Earth, and City Through Time, we just did not need them. It was one of those things where it's nice if you have time to add it on, but we didn't need it, and I had purchased it new to begin with. So in the future, I will buy as I need the books, and I will not focus on getting so many books ahead of time. From Thrift Books, all of the Torchlight read aloud books I got used. A lot of them were used. The ones I could not find that my library did not have, I bought them used. So that was how much I spent there. Little Justice Leaders is our social justice subscription box. That it is a yearly subscription. It's $130 every 3 months, so you can see that's a big one. Again, I have a review on that if you want to see it. So for Torchlight, the PDF was $34. For Curiosity Chronicles, for the book, and I believe the teacher resource, was $64.78. Core Knowledge, I do like to buy the readers, the student readers. Everything is online for free, but I do enjoy having the readers. My kids like to look through them. And then the PDF for Exploring Nature with Children was $18. Next category I have is teacher development. Now, a lot of the books I read, I prefer to get from the library, but sometimes they don't have it. So I got the What Your Kid Needs to Know books for like what kindergarten, first grade, second grade, those types of books. That was $17.98. That was from Thrift Books. Then from Amazon, I got Mathematical Mindsets because, again, my library didn't have it. So right here, you'll see in this big red, is the total amount I spent for this school year. And I will not be purchasing anything else for this year. As you can see, I'm already purchasing things for next year. But this was the total amount of everything I bought curriculum-wise. I do not, you can see here, I do not include field trips. These are things we would have done whether or not we homeschooled. So I do not count that towards my homeschool budget. But I thought if you're curious, break it down. We do have a zoo membership, and that's $130 a year. We have a museum membership that gets us into multiple museums, and that's $195 a year. We went to the Arboretum, and that was $54 for my entire family to go, 5. And then we do go to state parks, and that's obviously free. We do some free activities as well, but those are the ones we pay for, but that's not part of the homeschool budget. We do that no matter what. So, going down here, I thought this would be interesting. So, if you're curious how much I spent on Torchlight Level 2, it was $249.03. And that was buying most of the books through Thrift Books, and then most of the spines through Amazon, and that includes the $40, obviously, PDF. Or $34 PDF. So that is that total amount for all the things I needed for Torchlight, and it was mostly books. For 3rd grade math, I spent this, and it was mostly Singapore Dimensions and the Math Facts That Stick. 3rd grade language arts, again, it was Lightning Lit, and the readers that go with that. For pre-K to K math, I spent this amount, and for language arts, I spent this amount. So that kind of breaks it down if you're curious how much I spent on each child or each category. To put that into a little perspective, so when my daughter was in public school, K through 2nd grade, we would spend about $120 yearly, and that covered registration fees were about $80 when we would register her every year, and then we spent about $40 on school supplies that you're required to buy at the beginning of the year that the class shares. For private school tuition, if you're curious, in my area, it's about $3,200 per child. You do get a slight discount if you have multiple children. So for both my children to attend private school where I live, it would be about $6,000. So that gives you kind of an overview of where I'm at. I spent about $1,500, but this is what I would have spent with my other options. So looking at that, I think next year I will actually be able to come in below that because, again, I've learned that, especially with things like Torchlight, I don't need to buy everything. And now that I know we're solid on things like math and language arts, I can budget better since this was my first year of homeschooling budgeting. I definitely learned some things along the way, what I don't need to get necessarily. And I do not include things like markers and crayons and things like that in my budget because we would buy those things regardless if we homeschooled or not. And I have slowly started adding things to next year's budget. But as you can see, I have many budgets down here. I do enjoy budgeting. I like to know where my money goes, so homeschool budgeting is here. I also have Christmas and grocery budget, reno, everything. I do enjoy tracking things and knowing where my money goes. So if you have any specific questions about this, leave them in the comments below. But if not, thank you for watching.